There's so much Ukrainian footage. I need a montage of the shit. I just watched two guys RPG a fucking like truck or something and blow it up, and it looked like it was 50 yards away. It looked like I would have gotten closer personally, so the thing was in frame, but they did a good job.
It's tricky to understand how that happened, right? Like, if you're a Russian tank operator, do you just slay everybody outside? Because if you don't, those people might kill you.
But you can't see everybody. Like every time I see someone shooting it at them, they're not like out in the open. First of all, they're in a tank. It's hard to see out of that fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like if somebody's like on your like 7 o'clock or whatever, like behind you and to the right or left, you have no idea. Like they can just shoot at you. Like you can kind of see like a I think they've got like on some of the newer tanks they've got all sorts of equipment, but it looks like they're in like tanks from the 60s and 70s. I don't know what the visibility. The tanks I've been in, if you're not, if someone's not popping out of the top looking around, you have a hell of a time spotting a guy with a rocket before he can hit you and doing anything about it, unless that guy is also on a gun.
That explains it more. Yeah, because it seems like the people shooting the tanks are really vulnerable. But now that I realize how blind tanks can be.
So when they use like the shittiest of weapons, they're very close. Like the RPGs, like they're like 50, 100 meters away, it seems like. But with the javelins, the range on those is like 2,500 meters, I think. It's something like it's safe. Really far. Like it's anywhere from like 50 meters to like 3,000 meters or something in that realm, like far. And that thing like takes off, doesn't leave any smoke trail, like any evidence of where the shooter was, and it's like a 12-second travel time or something to the maximum range, and it's coming in like top down, so the armor doesn't really matter as much, especially on these like the T-72 tanks. Right under the turret is where all the ammunition is, so it just blows those the fuck up. That's why you see so many pictures of the turrets sitting on the ground off of the tanks.
I didn't realize that. So they hit it there and then it explodes and pops the top off.
Yeah, the whole tank cooks off. That's how a lot of those tanks what happens to a lot of them, because a lot of the weapons they use make these small entry holes that then just spray all this spalling shit and like hot metal bouncing around, and with some of them just plasma, like superheated gas is being injected in there, and so it's killing the crew, and if possible, igniting the ammunition. And
Jesus,
if it starts a fire, it'll eventually cook it off. I've seen so many from the Syrian conflict, just like the tank gets hit and then it burns for a while, and then finally like the ammunition catches and it's just a bomb. It's such a huge explosion.
Have they rolled out any like new looking tanks?
So like,
or is it still all the old stuff?
From what I understand, the T-72s go back to like probably 1972 or something. Like it's probably I'm guessing on that part, but I think it's from that era at the very least. And then the T-90 or something was a tank from maybe like 20 years ago that they don't have a lot of. I saw a few of those destroyed. But I think there's a new tank that I was reading about. It's that Russia's been bragging about for like the last 15 years. And the specs on it and the description of it would make it the best tank in the world. But every time they've ever wheeled them out, they've always had issues, and no one believes that Russia can make them in any sort of quantity at all. Like maybe they've got a handful, like 3 or 4, but it's an actual like modern main battle tank with an auto loader, which a lot of tanks don't use, and a 3-man crew. They usually use 4-man crews, because now you don't have a guy actually loading those 40-50 pound shells into the gun every time and locking the breech and saying do it, fire. You've got a machine back there doing all that. They claim it can do I think whenever you see 10 rounds a minute. 10 rounds a minute they claim it can do.
Is that a ton for a tank?
No, that would be about as good as a person. A little worse than a person, but being a little bit worse than a person and never ever making a mistake might be better than a person, considering that now
you don't get tired either,
and your whole crew can sit side by side, like we're all in a row, like I'm sitting here, and we've each got our own little like TV screens we're doing shit with. But I haven't seen one of those outside of like proving ground footage that they've shown before in the past and stuff like that. They drove one down the street once, and the driver put it in park, and they couldn't get the park brake off, and they brought another tank to try to pull it, and and the tracks were spinning on the asphalt, and you got like a general and like all these guys wearing the fancy stuff, and they're just like, the fuck, the boss is waiting, and like, and you can see like the park brakes on, like nobody knows how to use this shit. So no, they don't have any.
It looks like it's called the T-14 Armada.
Yeah,
and
Armata.
They were Armata, and it looks like they were supposed to have 100 of them by this year, but they do not.
No, they do not.
They delayed it. And I mean, 100, a test batch of 100. So yeah, it's not like they've got these things rolling around in Ukraine right now. No way.
No, absolutely not. It seems like the cool thing about that Armada program is that they were going to do like a one chassis across many weapons platforms. So you would have your rocket truck on the same chassis as the main battle tank. And that would also be the chassis for like the forward operating vehicles and the APCs. And so that would mean that suddenly parts across the board fit everything. Because right now they've got parts for T-72s and they got parts for T-90s and they got parts for every other little variant. But if they could go across the board with the same parts, it would be a huge win. But they can't do that.
Yeah,
that tank's way too advanced for their economy right now anyway.
Yeah, they need to go third world.
They'll struggle with like getting the materials to make that tank at this point. I think I saw Venezuela stepped up. They were like, anything Russia needs, we'll sell them. And it's like, what do you have? Oil.
Well, they have a ton of oil.
Russia has.
No one's buying it. Things Russia doesn't need.
It's like in Civ when like someone's declared war on you and the game has become shitty for you and you're just trying to fix your happiness and you're like, hey, do you have any? Could you trade me pineapples? And they're like, I already have pineapples. You're like, fuck.
Yeah.
No one can dig me out of this. So that's what Russia's got with its like Venezuelan ally.
I think I saw Germany's still buying energy from them.
So are we.
It could be out of date.
They kind of have
so
to,
are we,
right?
because you have to weigh out like how bad do we shoot ourselves in the foot to like make them stumble a little?
We buy from Russia?
Yeah, 60 million a day that we send to Russia. Dollars.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Republicans, I watched them speak, and it was like all the main Republicans, and it was so compelling. They were like, if you want to crack down on Ukraine, how about this? We're importing, I think it's 500,000 barrels.
That's right. We need to crack down on Ukraine.
Well, I mean,
I think
that's what there's. Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, Russia.
I'm
These
teasing.
fucking
Sorry.
Ukrainians defending themselves.
If you want to get the Ukraine.
The Republicans are saying like, look, if you actually want to crack down on Russia, we're bringing in 400,000 barrels of oil from them a day. I'm from the great state of Montana. Now, last year we produced 1.1 million barrels of oil. That's a lot. But 2 years ago under Donald Trump, we made 1.6 million barrels of oil. Now that's 500,000 barrels of oil that we couldn't produce because of the way Joe Biden has said we can pump oil. That's just from my state. That would fix this whole thing. And then like another guy comes up. He's from Texas. And then Murka, who's the one who's the serial killer?
Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz comes up. The one whose daughter doesn't want to kiss him. He comes up and he speaks well too. And they made a ton of sense about like, look, we're still buying like $60 million worth of oil a day. I think that was the number actually. And from Russia every day. That's $60 million we give them every single day. And you're talking about cutting off Nike and Apple Pay. It's like maybe we could just stop handing them $60 million of money every day. And it made a lot of sense.
Be better long term to have more resource availability here.
And the other thing is like not only you wouldn't want to just make enough oil to fill the Russian need, our Russian need. You'd want to pump enough oil to fill the Europeans' needs as well, right? If you could fulfill Germany's oil, if you could sell Germany all the oil that Russia was going to sell them for the same price or more, like
it'd have to
Germany
be more.
We
don't have a pipeline leading to Germany.
Yeah, we got plenty of boats though. We're good at that. And hey, maybe we do need a pipeline.
That'd be a cool pipeline.
Cool pipeline.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I wonder what the other side of the argument is. If they're like, well, the reason we don't want to,
we should have bought Greenland. He was right.
It's because we're fracking and it's ruining the communities and poor people are like, whatever, natural gas is coming out of their faucets.
Propaganda. Those poor people aren't poor anymore because of their profitable leases on that land. They don't even live there anymore.
Because I mean,
They go
if
back
natural
to those
gas is coming
trailers.
out of your kitchen sink faucet, you should be making money.
These
hand
liars.
over fist.
Here's what these white trash liars do, right? They take the millions of dollars that these oil companies give them.
They're not white trash.
They run off and build mansions, and once they burn through those millions with irresponsible spending habits, they go back to their trailers they used to live in, and they turn the faucet on that hasn't been cracked in 8 months. And when a little gas comes out and they can light it, now they sue big oil again for another payday. And I just made up every bit of that. None of that's true. Fracking absolutely ruined some of those people's lives, and I think it killed some babies. But look, Woody, how much do you want to pay to go paramotoring? Okay, how much?
Nothing. $6 tops.
$6 tops. So I say frack it and frack it deep.
Yeah, frack it.
Frack it up. Like I don't even know what it is. Can't be that bad.
There you go. Taylor doesn't even understand the process. So
Don't
it could be that
it's some kind of drilling where you use water.
You got to inject some high pressure fluids down into that bedrock down below and release that precious natural gas. Let it float on up.
Yeah. We're
Maybe
on the same page.
Salt water or something.
Sounds like we have equal understanding of the process.
It sounds to me like we both have a firm grasp on the process, and we're borderline oil men.
I always thought the amount of oil we produced was in a large part limited by
greasy.
Like how expensive it is for us to produce it. So when oil goes to $100, suddenly like freaking every fracking site becomes profitable again, and they'll fire up.
I was looking at the financial sanctions on Russia today. I wrote some of the stuff I heard down. So I guess that just being cut off from New York alone is just a crippling thing for Russia. They said that the currency exchange in New York City, they turn over $15 to $17 trillion every day, and JP Morgan alone moves 5 to 7 trillion a day around the world, and they're just cut off from that completely. I saw that Apple isn't going to sell products there anymore. Nike stores are closed.
Sucks.
IKEA shut their doors today. Like there was a mad dash for IKEA.
Now that one's not nearly as big of a deal.
You say that until you need a cheap desk. God damn it!
It's garbage. It's terrible stuff.
Yeah, but if you're disputing on
IKEA furniture doesn't survive a move. I promise you. Every time,
wobbly. Yeah. Anytime you see a TV show and there's a pratfall onto furniture, it's IKEA, and they put it together.
Is a pratfall a word? That's what it's called when you land on furniture and it breaks.
I think that's just the term for like a comedic, like intentional fall, like those old timey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like running on a banana.
Yeah, exactly.
No, the financial sanctions actually seem to be working this time because they've just hit so many sectors, and like so many companies are like, yeah, the cool thing to do is to back Ukraine and fuck Russia, right? That's the cool thing. There's going to be like a Nike shirt.
Donald Trump is not backing Russia anymore. Donald Trump
no one is
backed off his comments praising Putin. So Trump praised Putin, said he was savvy and clever, and that who cared about the sanctions? They're going to cost him $2. He gets a whole country. It's a great deal. And then they're like, dude, you can't say that. And he doubled down. And now he's like, he's saying this is basically the Holocaust and that he's not on board with the Ukraine or with Russia anymore. It
was really sad. I saw when Zelensky heard the news that the Russians had blown up the Holocaust memorial.
Yes.
And he was like, I don't know the name of it, but he said the name of it. He was like, the Holocaust memorial? Yeah. The Holocaust memorial? Yeah. Well, I guess that's about right. Yeah.
He's like, that's Russia. I think
is that adds up. Makes sense. Okay, fair.
He targeted it, or it got blown up.
What's the difference?
Oh well, like the end result would be the same. It would just. I was curious if they're like,
do you measure the effort and the quality of the destruction?
Yeah,
like which makes you madder at Russia? That they intentionally shot your Holocaust memorial,
that
or that while they were shelling you indiscriminately, they also hit your Holocaust.
Yeah,
memorial.
Taylor, we were trying to kill your civilians. We accidentally got your Holocaust museum.
See, that's so much worse.
Can you imagine if Putin said that? Like, he's like, well, we do want to apologize for bombing that Holocaust memorial. There was an orphanage right across the street. We were aimed right at it.
We had reason to believe they could grow up and become soldiers.
One day those Ukrainians would have risen against me. Yeah, it's a wild fucking situation, and I don't know what to think. I keep hearing not just like pundits or talking heads talk about Putin's condition or his potential like medical condition, but the French president, saw him like a month or two ago. He was across one of those crazy long tables, which is bizarre. It's almost like he doesn't want you to get too good of a look at him, or like maybe he doesn't want you to get too close to him because of like some sort of immunodeficiency. Maybe like what if like I'm just like I'm making this up. I'm making this up as I sit here.
Social distancing with a 31-foot table.
What if he's got one of those cancers where they have to like nuke your bone marrow or something and he's so immuno compromised that's why he's at the end of 30-foot long tables, because it's not a good look. It's a weird look.
Maybe it's bad to have the leader of your nation about to die.
I think that's what I'm suggesting. Like maybe this is a guy who's like about to die, who's trying to like put a stamp on like his legacy, and he's
maybe
trying to.
We're lucky that Biden and Trump didn't take over Mexico.
Oh no, that would have been for the better. The Mexicans would have greeted us with flowers. They would have had sangria.
It did seem nice. I was
yes. Those children, they'd have been. You'd have paid
packed your wing for you.
They'd have packed your fucking. Whatever.
$2.
They'd shoot down our jet fighters and then pack their parachute and send them back home.
Yeah, good deal.
20 dineros. Would have paid for the wall.
That's true.
It seems like Ukraine is doing a very good job of defending themselves, based on the news and everything. But then, how
current are you, Taylor? Because I'm seeing that they just took over a major city. That major city is a problem. It gives them an in to start taking over other parts of Ukraine, and that the shelling, they were doing a good job defending themselves before Russia started trying. Now they're trying, and it's not going as well. But what do I know?
I didn't have this grim a perspective on.
All I have is propaganda to go by. I listen to propaganda from the left and the right and try to extract the truth.
It is funny doing that, where I'm like, maybe if I take the average of the propagandas, I can figure out what's going on.
My take on it is that it's going to last a very long time.
It very well could.
I think Zelensky is going to inevitably die, which is only going to harden the resistance and the help that's gonna come. Putin's gonna mess up and make this guy a martyr. That's gonna be a big mistake. I think it's gonna go on for a very long time, like months or years. And I also think that they are gonna exact a terrible toll on the Russians in manpower and material, because we are happy to keep shipping them a few $100 million worth of javelins every few months if it means that the Russians lose a piece of armor for every one we send. The French just no, it was the Germans. The Germans were like, we're going to send you some rockets. And they were like, when and how many? Like, we've got to see what we have. The German military is so under-equipped, apparently, that when they went to look for it was either the anti-air rockets. I think it's the anti-air rockets. All they could find, they were from when Germany was in two, when there was Eastern and Western Germany, and they found Western Germany rockets. They are Soviet-made, like, anti-aircraft rockets. They had 2,700 of them, and they sent them all.
Jesus Christ. That's not a very tight ship they're running with the German military. If they are like, let me check the warehouse on what we've had. Oh, we've had these for 33 years.
They've backtracked on giving the MiGs to the Ukrainians because, like I pointed out on either the Hangout or PKN, I was like, wait a minute. They said the EU was going to give planes. The EU is a financial thing, an economic bloc. The EU doesn't have planes. NATO has planes. And they were trying to do some shenanigans where, like, hey, NATO will give you a few planes, the EU. Who knows what you do with them? Well, you're not going to fly them, are you? Of course not. You don't fly planes.
Like a loophole.
You do money stuff. So maybe for $1, Ukraine gets it. And they're like, we're not doing this weird thing you want us to do where our economic thing gives planes to Ukraine. Give them the planes, sell them the planes, leave them on the border. Maybe somebody picks them up, but we're not involved. And so now the planes are where they started at.
I struggle so much getting accurate. I was watching Fox News today. Apparently, SWIFT has stopped working with 5 of the 36 Russian banks, and it's completely ineffective. On the other hand, the Russian stock market is down like 40%. The ruble's down 40%.
Whoa. We don't know what the stock market's down. We don't. I saw some investment. I was on an investment advice subreddit, you know how those guys are. And they were like, hey guys, do not buy the dip in these Russian companies that are sold on the British market. These companies aren't going to 1%. They're going to 0. They're going to 0. He's like, buy low, sell high. That's what we do here. You're going to buy low, and then it's going to go to 0. There is no selling this again because no one can buy it and no one would buy it. Don't buy.
So that you're what you're referring to is stock market's not open yet. I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
What I saw was that it was down 40%. I don't know how they arrived at that.
Made it up.
That right? All I do is listen to propaganda. Yeah. I don't know how you listen to what other news is there.
Here's what I've been doing. I'm sorry.
The ruble itself is down a ton too, so it's working, right? These sanctions are working, but they say that they're not. And I just struggle so hard to understand what's what.